Hi ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Miss Raga's Art Room. Okay, so here we are. We've got boxes drawn, which means now we've invented this cool three-dimensional space, and it's time for us to have some stuff interacting with it. Enter our mannequins. The other thing that we're also going to add is a couple of circles that we're going to turn into spheres as a little shading warm-up to practice that rounded form shading before we tackle shading the mannequins when we get to the shading component of this. Okay, so first things first, word about the mannequins. Be gentle with them, ladies and gentlemen, be gentle. These little legs and limbs are just held on basically by little springs that are like looped around little metal pins in the arms. And my goodness, when you really wrench and twist to try to get an arm or leg in a position it's not supposed to go into, these limbs snap right off. So please, gentle with them. If you can't get it to go into a position you want, call me over. Let me help you out, okay? So I'm gonna set up my mannequin off screen here, so I've got max drawing space. Here's my image, and the first thing I'm gonna add, okay, are those spheres. So let's put in maybe like a sphere here. Right, I'm just lightly sketching it, and I'll go back and perfect later as I shade. Okay, maybe like a big one here. Right, it's made up space. Don't worry about is this realistic or not. We're just trying to understand space, how these figures might interact with it, and I'll do another one, maybe like over here, a little one here in the background, and then how it might look shaded according to a light source. Okay. So there we go. You want to have at least 2 spheres. I'm going to do 3 just so I get a little extra shading, a little extra demo work to help you guys out with. Okay, the next thing I want to add at least 2 mannequins. 2 mannequins is my minimum. You of course can do more. So let's see, I'm going to have, I think maybe a mannequin here. Let me position my little fellow. There we go. Sorry, I'm going to keep my mannequin off screen so I can keep mostly on screen here. I'm going to have my little mannequin, I think, reaching for the sphere, like he's leaning over the top. So I'll have maybe the back end of his feet, got him set it up, pointing down here. Right, like I see just his feet coming off the edge of the box. And then maybe I see over, let me move that up a little bit. Use my chunk eraser. Don't like where I positioned that. So if I've got his feet hanging right over the edge, it should be right on the edge, right? There we go. Try to draw your shapes a little bit larger because we will be shading these. So I'm going to have him maybe coming from the side here, and then let's have a little bit of the shoulders. Maybe we've got like an arm hanging down here, and this mannequin's like maybe reaching for that sphere in a distance. You can have mannequins, kind of coming on the page, off the page. You can have giant mannequins crushing boxes, mannequins sitting next to boxes, mannequins leaping over boxes, mannequins peeking out from behind boxes. And here I'm going to have just a little bit of his shoulder showing. Right, I'm trying to picture how he would look in relationship to this space. There he is reaching out to get his hand on this sphere. There we go. Maybe I'd see a little bit of the back end of him, a little bit of the tush, kind of going off the page there. There we go. So there's my mannequin reaching back into space, or reaching out to reach that sphere. Okay, cool, that looks good. All right, my next mannequin, I think I'll have maybe peeking out from behind a box here. So maybe I'll see just a little bit of that shoulder. Remember, represent them as the little geoforms. Maybe I'll see just a little bit of that wrist, this little mannequin hand here on the box. And same thing maybe here, I'll see just a little bit of the arm and a little mannequin hand on top of the box here, kind of like he's standing up. And then a bit of the mannequin mannequin head. Peeking out, like he's looking at us. Okay, there we go. And let's see, what else might, oh, boy, that eraser is really gummed up. I'm gonna have to clean that off. What else I see with our mannequin? I think I need to make his head a little bit bigger. Couple things to consider with your mannequins as you sketch them into this drawing. I'm gonna flip my picture over for a second. The first is avoid doing legs and arms like so, okay? Right, these are meant to mimic real human proportions, and what I mean by that is these parts of the leg and the joints, they have thickness to them, right? They taper, they go wider, they come to ending points. See the difference, what I mean by that? The other thing to consider too is your mannequin's torso and head encompass about the same length as the legs. I usually see mannequin legs get made a little bit too short. So you want to consider your proportions as you're drawing. So for example, if that's the size of my mannequin torso to head, the legs and feet should end somewhere down here. That makes sense to you, right? The legs are actually longer than they appear in the reality of the figure, because the most common drawing mistake I see happening is that people make the feet and the legs just too short compared to the rest of the body, right? If I pull my mannequin in a frame here, I can see from kind of like waist to top of head, it's just about the same to the bottom of the feet, from hip to bottom of feet. Okay, so kind of be mindful of these two things as you sketch your mannequins. Okay, let's continue on. I've got my two required ones in there. I'm gonna do an extra one, I think, just for good measure. Let's have a little guy coming in off the page here, and I'm gonna have him like waving to us from off the page. He's just like peeking in from the side. I'm gonna have this little guy come up, see a little bit of that shoulder joint, like he's really close to us in the picture frame. And we'll have, right, this part of the torso, we'll see this shoulder joint, and we'll have it like his arms going straight up in the air like he's waving hi to us. Like, hey there. And you can sketch still at this point with your mechanical pencil. I know I still am. It'll work out really well, trust me. Because then when we get to the shading, we'll switch over to a regular number 2. Okay, and where my little mannequin hand here overlaps the horizon line, I'm gonna erase, maintain that overlap. There we go, and let's also get a bit of that mannequin head in there. And the head is kind of almost like an egg shape, like a light bulb. That's what I always think of when I see him, kind of like an egg shape with that squared off bottom. And there we go. There's our mannequin. So I've got, above and beyond, I've got more than I need. I've got at least 3 mannequins, or I've got at least 2 mannequins in here. I've got 3, I could add more. And I've got at least 2 spheres, right? So minimum requirement, 2 man, 2 sphere. Okay, draw them in contour first. And then our next step will be to actually start shading our boxes. Okay, so meet me at the next video to figure out the light source and start the shading work. All right, thanks for joining me in Miss Raga's art room.